Hey there, I've managed over 5,000 tenants in my real estate investing career here in Chicago. And unfortunately, some of them had collections or possibly even eviction issues that I've had to deal with. Now, the question people always ask me, should I offer cash for keys or should I file for eviction? And my answer to them is always do both. Follow the legal process that you have to take. That's kind of your backup. But along the way, continue to offer cash for keys as an option. What's your goal as a landlord? Your goal is to have a tenant in there that's paying rent on a monthly basis consistently and not destroying it. But if the second someone stops paying or slows down paying, your goal is to get that back on track. And now if you have to get that tenant out of there, if you have to work out payment plans, that's what you gotta be focused on. Now, there comes a point where tenants just can't do it. Maybe they physically don't have the money to pay, they lost the income, they lost the spouse, whatever it might be. And there's writing on the wall of like, hey, this is not gonna work out. And that's where you have to kick in high gear and make sure that you're following the legal steps as a backup plan, but at the same time, negotiating with the tenant to leave. Now, negotiating with the tenant to leave often becomes what we've been calling cash for keys. Now, cash for keys is basically just the ability to pay your tenant to leave, no different than it sounds. So don't offer cash though, I always offer certified check. But the cash for keys is a negotiation basically to get them to move out sooner or later. If you're in Cook County and you're a landlord and you've had to go through this, you know the eviction process is a nightmare and you don't have any control over it. So as a landlord, if you with cash for keys, you take back control of that dialogue. Now, it becomes a math problem. Are you able to pay the tenant a couple $1,000s or $5,000 even to get them out in the next week versus it take another 3-4 months? When you do the math, you break it out, you're able to see kind of what it takes. So I'll just take a crazy example, $5,000, right? If you have a $2,000 rent, that's basically 2.5 months rent. But if the eviction goes another 6 months, you lost $12,000 in rent. And in 6 months, you're not sure, it puts you in the middle of winter and you can't get it rented for a top dollar, or now you have to do a bunch of work in the middle of winter. The math will math for you if you break down giving the tenant a couple bucks to move out next week versus having to ride out the eviction process. So a lot of people ask me, do I file for eviction? Do I do cash for keys? I say do both, because when cash for keys isn't working, or maybe the tenant ghosts you, then you at least have the legal portion to back up on. But you should always be kind of approaching every tenant delinquency situation or possible eviction situation from both angles.